Good evening. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for watching this wherever you are in the world. This is your Module 4 recap and Module 5 introduction, which I know most of you already started, but again, sorry, it's a crazy week again, as always. So yeah, we'll hope this will only take a few minutes here. So let's quickly kind of dive into things. So with Module 4, our big idea was around databases. What is a database? Why are databases needed? And then what is SQL and what is SQL syntax or SQL for some of y'all out there that prefer to spell the whole acronym out. Remember, SQL stands for Structured Querying Language, which is a great acronym in my opinion, as it has two of the words in it. It queries structured data, right? It's the language for querying structured data, with structured data being rows, columns, your tables, columns, your tables and databases, all your flat files, CSVs, your just standard table that you think about. So in our live session, we covered kind of what is a database, why are they needed, and kind of a little bit of the quick history from the 1970s to now with kind of the idea of big data, data warehousing, and data lakehouses. But essentially, at its core truth, the purpose of a database is to operate as a single source of truth of all your data needs. We have one location where no matter your user, a data engineer, a business analyst, a data scientist, they know where to go to find the most up-to-date and trustworthy location and information from that single source. So the thought exercise we did in class was like, how many times have we emailed around an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Doc or whatever, right? And then somebody changes it, somebody edits it, and you have final spreadsheet version 1, final spreadsheet version 1, I promise this time, for final spreadsheet version 3. If I'm just going around trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go to access this data, I need a single source of truth, right? I can't just have 5 different versions of the same spreadsheet floating around that I have no idea which is the most accurate. So that's kind of the big idea. With SQL, we talked about CRUD. Again, SQL and databases, data engineers, they love their acronyms. CRUD stands for Create, Read, Update, and Delete. Any of the major databases, data warehouses that you interact with, those are going to be the types of commands that you will be using, right? Create data, select, read data, update, alter data, delete, remove data. We also talked about some advanced analytical options we can do, including grouping, aggregations, joining multiple tables together, and also how to execute SQL directly inside of a Jupyter notebook. So that's your kind of big idea for Module 4, just kind of get hands-on with databases and what they are like. It's quick logistics before we kind of dive into a couple other tips and tricks here. In Module 4, there's a few different types of activities, some being more what I call click-through activities, with others being the more standard Jupyter Notebook type interface, right? So everything up through, I think, 410 is all click-through activities. Or if they do ask you to use a database, it's optional, right? Karen discussed how in one of the lounge posts how you can install Postgres, MySQL, SQLite, and start interacting with these databases on your own laptop. I think also 4.7 goes over how you can sign up for the IBM free trial and get a free database instance that you can play around with for these activities. But they are not required for this course. And again, if you just use them as a click-through exercise, I am totally fine with that. So just a quick example of what I mean. If you go through one of these exercises, hopefully I'm sharing my screen and you can see it. Here's one. If I click on this guy right here, this will take me to what I'm calling this idea of a click-through lab, right? Sure, you could install MySQL and load up these databases, but for this scope, if you just click through, read up some of these SQL things, look at the database, at the data sets, and then this is really what's key, right? Reading over the queries, seeing in real life kind of what these queries look like and how they're supposed to be executed. That is the most important part here. And then same thing with kind of reading through these different exercises around kind of subqueries and things. So this is going to be your click-through lab. The main exercises will start in 4.11, 4.11, 4.13, and 4.16. They will be your Jupyter Notebook hands-on experiences. So we got three big ones there. 416 is going to be your final exercise. And again, that'll actually load up a full Jupyter Notebook. And this is also the same exercise final project for the module that we did in the live session. So I'm obviously not going to run this now, but do note that it's kind of the one little nuance with module 4. You have these optional click-through labs and then the actual hands-on interfaces where you'll be writing queries. So before I kind of go into that final project, other things to mention, I got some handy dandy links here, including kind of the history of databases, which I think is really interesting, the different types of databases that are out there, structured, semi-structured, and unstructured, your extra credit for week 4, and then a couple ideas on like how you can actually work through some of the hands-on exercises on your own time. So yeah, for the final project for module 4, let me see if I can pull it up. I've done it twice. Again, just like always, I have all the notebooks backed up in my GitHub if you need access to them. And then anything I do live during the live session, I duplicate and have in this live session folder. So I think it's this mod 5 final project is the final kind of live set, the final project for the live session that I did. So we downloaded multiple data sets, we created multiple tables, and then we created multiple queries is the long story there. So I can zoom in. Ooh, look at that. Boom. All right, so yeah, we downloaded some CSVs, pd.read CSV, and then we use pandas 2 SQL, and we write this data frame to a table. We do that 3 times for the census data, the public schools, and the crime data. And then we define kind of our database location, and now we're able to write your hands-on SQL queries, right? So this is how you get that hands-on experience writing the SQL code directly in your Jupyter notebooks. So we have multiple questions, multiple problems that require us to do multiple types of queries and joined and sorting and wildcard querying on text, kidnapping children, apparently. That was probably not the one I should have stopped on, but all good. Again, this was a pretty fun class. We had a couple students join live and they got some great questions and feedback as the class went on. So please go back and watch that lecture if you haven't already. And finally, as I've been saying the last few weeks, the Kaggle exercises are great supplementary exercises for you. So Intro to SQL and Advanced SQL will give you some more hands-on experience against Google BigQuery, which we also talked about in the live session. All right, coming up for Module 5. For Module 5, our topics this week include pandas-based analytics, but not only pandas-based analytics, we're also going to dip our toe into modeling, specifically linear modeling. So this is fun. This is our precursor to machine learning and kind of building predictive models. So by the end of this, you should not only kind of understand and be more familiar with using pandas to look at and interact with your data frame, but how can we also use some visualization libraries like Seaborn to create box plots and other kind of distribution plots? How we can look at the distribution of our data sets to look for outliers, and then finally, how we can use our data as predictive inputs, right? How can we identify patterns between our input features and our output target? And how can we train a model to start predicting that? You'll understand kind of why and what is predictive modeling, specifically linear modeling. Your linear model or your linear regression is where we all start. This is your y equals mx plus b, your rise over run, your slope, your line of best fit, whatever you want to call it. Starting with that, then moving into multivariate regression, having multiple features predicting a target. And then we even talk about polynomial regression, which is very fun. This is where we can use kind of your x squared and your x cubed and other interaction terms between your feature set to kind of have a more, I guess, nuanced, nonlinear effects captured in your model, which would be fun. Let me see. Did I hit I got on my whole list of everything we're supposed to say. Linear regression, and we're going to be making some plots, looking at distributions, polynomial regression, and evaluation. So you may have heard of R squared, correlations, and causations. We're going to go over that Back. We're back. Hopefully, we are keeping on, keeping on. Uh-oh. Let me make sure I'm using. Oh my God. Check one, check two. I think we're back. Yeah, so not only are we going to be building these models, we're also going to learn how to evaluate them. We'll be looking at your R squared values, right? But not only just R squared and your correlations, but also your mean squared error, which is my favorite evaluation metric. So it should be a fun week. You got 4 discussion posts to talk to interact with for Module 5. So please try and join in the fun there. Karen and I have been in all of them, and I think we have a couple students that are already kind of participating as well. So please look out for that. And our next live session is Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT. So I will hopefully see you all there. All right. Hopefully this worked. I'm having so many technical difficulties recently with my microphone setup, but yeah, whatever. All right. It's been a pleasure. Hope you had a great weekend, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all online and in the forums this week. Also, I think we're getting close to halfway, right? Week 5 is halfway. So yeah, more advanced data viz, and then introduction to machine learning, more machine learning, and then your capstone, and then we're out of here. Sounds like a good time. All right. Thanks for your attention. It's been a pleasure for those of y'all participating and interacting in the live sessions and the forums, and hope you're learning and getting whatever you need out of this. As always, feel free to reach out to myself or Karen in any of the modules or lounges, whatever. We're here for you. All right. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I will talk to you soon.